Welcome to Drum Addicts on Andertons TV, and we're sort of lucky. We're in an undisclosed sort of place, and there's three of us because we actually have Craig Blundell's dog, which is going to be in our video.
I've been on tour for 4 months and I've not seen her, and she just literally
Doesn't leave your side.
Absolutely won't leave my side. So it's part and parcel. So whatever videos we're doing this week, any clinic tours, she's like there. Which is great.
So we're going to talk about all things Roland, because obviously Craig's renowned for being on tour with every prog person you can imagine. But when he's not, you're making Roland products. Now, not everyone knows that, but there's basically, 3 or 4 guys around the whole world that do the sounds. Not the really super technical stuff that Roland do in Japan of actually making it, but the actual sounds that are on it. So we're going to talk about that today, on how you do it.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a really good insight for the guys who not just play Roland products, but the guys that play electronics or are into designing soundscapes, on just kind of what we do and what I do at home to work on sounds and how we come up with these amazing sounds in the module. Basically, I've been with Roland R&D in Japan for 10 years now, and they first invited me. My first project was TD9. So what normally happens is we and the other guys, and they're tremendous influences of mine, the great Michael Shack and Dirk Brand, both absolutely phenomenal players. They've been consultants with Roland for many, many years. Michael's into the 20s. It's a very small team in Japan, really small team of sound designers, of people that will just work on effects, etc., etc. They're really, really talented guys. So what will happen is, before a module like TD17's just come out, as we'll look at sampling today, but TD17's just come out. We got the module around 6-8 months ago, in its kind of prototype stage, so it's not really branded up, and it'll have a few kicks and snares and hi-hats in it in its raw form. So you might have a sample that's quite hissy, you might have a sample that's not been chopped or really A-B'd, it's just a sample. And then we'll get the brief. So I was asked to do, I think, 5 or 10 kits, 5 kits for the 17 across different genres. So they'll give you a certain genre. For me, it's always progressive or kind of hybrid drum and bassy, jungly stuff, raw stuff. So then I'll have like 30 kicks to work from, and I'll narrow it down to maybe 2 or 3 kicks. And I'll do the same with the snares and do the same with the hi-hats. I'll have kind of limited editing at that time. I won't have all the crazy functionality that the module will have when it's launched, but I'll have limited function so that I can then pretty much say, right, I want to work with those. And then we'll bounce back forward my folder to Roland Japan. They will slim it down. They'll give me slightly more editing functions, and then the process starts. And then we start to bounce folders back and forth, and then it's created pretty much, really. Then it will go over to Japan and they'll do the final edits. And final edits is normally mic position around the room. We'll do the EQs here in our own space around the world. We'll do the EQs, we'll do the muffling, all those little things that people see daily and take for granted. We'll dial all those in as presets. And then we have to almost send a report as well of why we're doing it, what genre of music in, why the kits, we think that particular one kit patch is going to be usable, and that's the process. But that process, with time delays, can take 3 or 4 or 5 days, and the guys are really on it. But bouncing files just to do one kit can take a period of time, and they might say, Craig, it's a bit aggressive, and then you have to justify why it's aggressive, and it's never a battle. It's always fun. But it's a mutual learning process for both of us, because it might be a genre that they've never really heard of, for example. It's like, this is getting big now. This is coming out, not just drum and bass, but all these different like traps and all this sort of weird kind of subgenres. So you design a kit for that, and then sometimes you send a piece of music to say, right, this is what's really happening right now. So trying to stay in front all the time, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's tiring. It's really tiring. But the rewarding thing for me is when I first got involved with TD9, is I had an old garage for a studio that me and my dad cobbled together. It was rubbish.
That was near us then, wasn't it?
It was down Godalming way. Yeah, that's right. And it was just literally a knackered old garage falling down, and I was in there freezing every night with a TD9 prototype module designer kit. And then literally fast forward a year, and then you see the YouTube generation putting it up there, and they're playing and think, I did that kit. And you think, I did that kit. not everyone knows you've done it, but for me, it's always like, that's such a great tick in the box that people are playing your drums.
It's funny when we get, especially when we had the TD50, I was literally just scrolling through going, is this Craig or is this Michael? I was trying to guess which one's
It's
for
really
you.
interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. I've got such a wonderful working relationship and friendship with Michael and Dirk as well, and you can always tell which kit's theirs.
Yeah,
because they're like, they pop out the mix and they're like, oh, that's definitely Michael. You can envisage him playing it,
Well, it's funny, you do literally see how flamboyant he is. You
Absolutely.
literally do see it when you're playing it. So
Absolutely, yeah.
he was, we're lucky enough to have him, and yeah.
Oh, Michael's amazing.
So
he's nuts. Well, he's from Belgium. Bless his heart. He's brilliant, and he's taught me a lot. He's been a real role model for me. When because I'd listened to, I grew up listening to prog bands, King Crimson and Yes and all those guys, and I was a massive fan of Bill Bruford, and used to, like the late 80s, early 90s, watching him on remember the Simmons kits. Well, the old hexagonal kits, just watching him like play, I was thinking, that sounds amazing.
The one that give you RSI when you
Absolutely,
hit them.
Yeah. You hit it on a Monday, you hopefully get a sound out of it by Tuesday. It's one of those. But he made it and look and sound incredible. And there was always that stereotype. If you have a drum kit with a plug on, you must play dance music. And I was just watching Bill play his amazing stuff with Earthworks and all those guys, just thinking, I want to do that. I want to experiment with electronics.
But it's just such a broader palette. You can do so many different.
Yeah.
Sort of sounds or genres, or even just with a Roland, you can do lights and backing vocals and all sorts of things. People don't realise that.
It just opens. I mean, there's always going to be the naysayers, and I get it. I absolutely get it. When a kit with a plug, okay, that's a bit weird. But you think, right, okay, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, they're both just tools of the trade, and it's really interesting. I'm doing a clinic tour this week, and just by show of hands, people in the audience, who's got electronics? It's quite staggering now. It's a large proportion of people. It might not be I'm going full electronic. I might have a sampler by the side of me. I might have a trigger on the kit. But if I'd have asked the question 10 years ago, it would be dramatically different.
It'd be half.
It's just evolution, isn't it? It is evolution. We look at our phones, how they've changed now. Everyone's like, oh no, when they had their old Nokia, now it's like touchscreen and swiping and face recognition and all that. It's just evolution. And for me, part of my job, as a musician, as a freelance player, with certainly the gig I'm on, I have to have electronics on my gig, even though it's progressive music, because I don't want to sit there for 3 hours and press spacebar on a Mac and have all these synthetic drums going behind me. I want to play them live, and that was the challenge for me. When I rolled into this gig, I wanted to play all the electronics live, and Roland had given me the tools to do it, and I'm forever grateful.
Well, you designed the tools, so.
I've had it's nice that I've had a nice little hand in them over the last 10 years, like from SPDSX to TD30 to 50, to 25 to the 15 to the 11. I've designed a lot of kits for it, and deeply proud of that. That's something that I can look back on in a few years to come and see people playing their videos and doing sessions. Think, that's my kit. I did that. That's lovely. It's really humbling.
It's cool. So usually when me and Craig get together, there's a lot of mayhem. So we're going to try and have less mayhem today.
Yeah.
But we are going to show you a few things, aren't we? So
absolutely.
We'll do a bit of sampling, show you how we sort of edited it, and let's see where that takes us, shall we say?
Yes. Sampling's a really interesting one. Speaking to people on clinics, it's quite a grey area because people think samples are sounds or sounds are samples. Not everyone knows what a sample is. And if I'm looking at not necessarily a preset for Roland, but if I'm looking at working on a soundscape, layering with my Mapex kit or triggering stuff, most of the sounds I use are not drum sounds. They're just absolutely not drum sounds. I did a video in my kitchen, which went nuts about a year ago, just me in a kitchen doing some loads of loop stuff. And the sound, everything around you is a sound, and with ears. I mean, I've learned by a lot of mistakes, but with just having a small studio upstairs, in post, you can do some crazy, crazy stuff. My bass drum, one of my favourite bass drum sounds, you're sat on it. A sofa.
This beautiful couch.
This beautiful couch is pretty much one of my favourite bass drum sounds that I've ever recorded. And it's a bit weird, but what it gives you is massive front end attack. If you're slapping it as well with a flat palm, I can't believe I'm actually saying this. If you're slapping,
I've got a bigger hand, so we're going to get a better sound.
Kenny Everett hand. So you slap it with a flat palm, you get real front end attack, and you get real this amazing low end frequency.
So we'll show you this.
We'll show you. Should we do it now? You want to do it now?
We've got to move the dog.
That's all right. Mabel, do you want to just move, mate? She's not going to. Just get down for a second. Tar. Say hello. No, okay, fair enough. Right. So,
So what people don't realise is
Yeah.
if you did it years and years and years ago, you had an S2000, you had a horrible old floppy that
Yeah.
you'd have to load your sounds on and wait a week.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is how easy it is now.
It's really, really simple. I mean, this is an R07 recorder. Really, really cool. Let me just make sure I got my card in there. Yeah, got the card in. Oh, really? Okay.
4 months is a long time, right?
4 months is a long time. It really is.
But this is, if you've got an SPDSX or anything like that, you can literally
Yeah.
do these little...
Especially if you got a card that's not working. We want my card in it. There we go. Switch it off. Yeah, so normally what I would do is, I mean, on a sampling session, I was involved with the sampling session for the TD50, and I was taken to a studio, and at the start, it's like, this is the most glamorous thing I'll ever do. And you're taken to a studio, and you might be sampling, let's say, 2 or 3 snare drums over a period of a week.
This is the other thing. Craig is doing one next month. He's doing a week just on snares and
Yeah.
a week just on bass drums.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It's a long, drawn out process, you know. It's and it is great. It just takes a little bit of patience, I think really. So, my Japanese colleagues will come over. We'll have a studio. They'll mic up the studio perfectly. We won't have any other kit in there apart from the one zone that you're recording, or the one instrument you're recording. And I'm just
I've just got an image of you in a massive room just with a snare.
That is exactly it. When we did the bass drum sessions, and I had got a bit of acid reflux, and they were like, "Oh, Craig, really bad noise on the mics." I'm like, "Oh, mate, really? It's that pure." So we sit there on a snare drum, and you just say, "Right, okay, middle, big velocity, hard." So you'll hit a snare drum and think, "Right, that's it, done." They can model and do their magic. And then it'll be like, okay, middle, not so hard, middle, less hard, and you'll do probably 30, 40 hits. And then it'll be out by 2 or 3 centimeters, go through the whole process, out, rim, edge, clicks. You're doing between sort of 500 and 700 hits.
Per drum.
Because they want that complete linear curve. We don't want that old school way of like soft, hit, loud, like the old days were, you know. So we are recording our instruments in the most amazing environments, most natural environments as well, the most driest environments, and how that drum performs in all these different environments. And then obviously Roland Japan will then work on that sound for months and months and months. The just so you know, when we did the sampling session for sounds for the TD50, they were done nearly 4 years before the module was launched.
Wow.
Yeah, nearly 4 years. So the guys worked on them for a long
Yeah.
time. Kicks, snares, and hats. Cymbals is the worst thing in the world. You might have the most gorgeous cymbal, and you think, "Oh, this is lovely." You got to hit it until it finishes. And for those of you that know 50, the cymbal samples are beautiful and they last for days. So you're hitting a cymbal, then you're going to have to wait for a minute until it completely decays out and then go again. So it might take you a day to do 2 or 3 cymbals. And the novelty soon wears off. It's like, oh man. But you have to think, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is great. So you have to have lots of breaks, because it's just your concentration levels. Could be a stool just rattling. You might get the perfect, like, that's it. And at the end you get up and you got this squeak. It's like, no. So yeah, the sampling sessions are always a challenge. They're brilliant. They're really, really, really fun. But I like doing my own. I like doing my own here. Because you've got so much around you. Normally I would bring down the Neumanns and I'd mic all this up properly. But you can do it on a field recorder, just on a basic field recorder. If I just, right, you are going down now. This is it. I'm going to put you down. Right, there you go. So I would literally just...
So if we're further apart, we're going to get more bass now, aren't
Well,
we?
of course, yeah. So I press rehearsal, so it's going to give me a... So to that, it's just a slap. But the camera's going to... This is going to pick up all the natural low end of the hopefully. That's recording. There we go. So I'll do one more. And that's it. Now, what I would then do is... I take my mini SD card out, and that's just a WAV file, essentially. Go upstairs, I put it onto my Mac. I work in Ableton. I love it. It just feels like elastic audio to me. You know, you can do some great things with that sound, or a sample as it was just recorded. I'm done now. You coming up? Just thoroughly unimpressed. I would then go and then put it through my effects, which I'm more than happy to show the guys of what I use to create the most ridiculous kick drums, and that's it, and that's then how it's born. And then I'd take the sample off there once I've edited it and stick it on the TD17 or the TD50. I'd have it as my prime sample or as a layered sound, and And there it is. So when people are commenting like, such a great bass drum sound, it's a sofa. But it does work. It really, really does work. And it takes years of just trial and error. I've gone through sampling bass drums. I'm a sound freak and trying lots of different things out, you know. It's the same, you know, we'll move to the kitchen in a minute. Just if you play dubstep, you know, I always layer my dubstep snare with a cutlery drawer. So that metallic real attack is just knives and forks dropping and just snipped. I'll do the same, we'll record it, so I'll give you the kick and snare. One's a sofa, one's a cutlery drawer. It's the go-tos. It's the go-tos as well. Wheelie bins, absolutely brilliant. A fist on a wheelie bin is the most beautiful bass drum, real low-end rumble. Who knew?
So check it out. We're going to move on to a different room in this house and we'll make some more noise.
Absolutely. One thing I must say before everyone starts trolling me with caps lock on and the biggest font possible, this isn't replacing a snare. This is not going to replace a Black Beauty or a Mapex or your favourite snare collection. It's not, I mean, how can that replace a snare drum? What it's going to do, it's going to add to EQ, it's going to add to overall sound of an instrument. It's going to give you front end, it's going to give you a layer, it's going to give you options, just like the sofa will do. It will give me my front end and my warmth, and I'll probably put a kick in the middle as well. So I'm layering. This isn't just like that is replacing my 800 quid Black Beauty. It's not going to, well, it's Sheffield, whatever, steel, but it's not going to replace it.
It's not silver though, so we're not.
No,
we're not going premium.
We're not going premium. No, this is it. This is going to £4. Right. So all I do is literally set it up, press record, and we're off to go. And I will stop it from ringing and messing around. I'll just have that, and that's it. Created.
I'm sure your wife loves you emptying the dishwasher.
Yeah, recording. I think that's the thing. It's so easy to go around the house now, and this records at 96. You can go around the house or anywhere you like, have this in your pocket and think that's a great sound. I remember we were in where were we? It was the first night of the tour, MEO Arena, and there was this. It was like a almost like a baseball stadium-y thing. We were backstage, very very cold, canteen-y type thing, and there's this door, metal door that opened that made the most ridiculous low-end rumble, and Stephen's like, obsessed with sound as I am, he's like, right, I've got to have that recording. I've got to have that. It's not going to replace anything, but down the line it's going to be usable on something. And that's the great thing about designing soundscapes and working with sound. Everything is editable and everything can be something really unique to your own personal sound.
And you can just store it on a hard drive. It's so easy to keep.
Yeah, it's the pocket now. It's so we've got the two raw sounds. We'll go up and we'll see what they sound like and then put them through some editing and see how we create these kick drums and snare drums.
And we're just going to layer, because a lot of people don't realise that you can layer even on the two new kits that we're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll have my main snare, I'll have, I can't even know what I'm saying. I'll have my main snare and have the cutlery underneath it for this. I'm thinking about dubstep stuff. And then I want a savage kick. So I want the front end of the sofa and the warmth under what I've got upstairs.
And the cutlery was forks only, so there we go.
Yeah, it's very important.
Top tip.
Yeah, spoons are just too resonant. Right, so it's so stupid. I love it. Right, so here we have it. So, memory card with my samples in there, and I've just dragged them into Ableton here. Now these are the raw samples, so just exactly how I've recorded them. So this will be the sofa, perfect. And then we'll have the cutlery drawer, which will be there. Again, it's just there. Perfect. So that's it on a channel with nothing on it. So what I've got over here is I have all my drums preset, all my acoustic drums. So 2 kick channels, all my snares, all my toms. I know I have them pre-EQ'd. So it'll be a case of dragging the sample, so this is the sofa as it were, into which kick channel I want it to go. I want it to go to kick out. So essentially this is the EQ for the Sennheiser 902, which is just outside the kick. So it'll give a bit of warmth, a bit of body. If I click it, you can see what's down the bottom. I've got a bit of compression on there, EQ, there's a load of bottom end winding in there. So we can then hear the sample as this. Brilliant, that's perfect, it's gonna work more. We'll put a little bit of volume through it, and we'll not warp it, so it's slightly longer. So it's up a few dB. Perfect. You start to hear the bottom end and the warmth coming through. I can also add rumbles to it if I wanted to as well. So if let's say I go to instruments, I'll go to audio effects, I'll go to my drums, I've got various different kick EQs I can put through it. So I'll put another EQ on that as well. I've got one of my favorites, which is really, really simple. It's just EQ3. And all I do is just click it and it goes into the channel strip. And it's just gain low, gain mid, gain high. Take all the high, because it's already attacking like crazy. I'll just roll a little bit more low end through it, through there. And you should hear it start to sound something like, there we go. So it starts to come alive. So now we've got to snip the sample, because obviously we want that sample to be right on the money, because at the moment it's obviously starting there. So I'll just zoom right in, take the front end where it is, about there, get rid of that, get rid of that. And then I can drop it right on the marker at the front. Now what I can also do then is I can copy that kick. So this is still going to be one sound. It's probably a little bit long for a kick drum, so you see it's still running out. So I will chop it back to about there, and I'll put a little gentle fade on it. So if I just put fades, I'll just put a fade so it'll just dissipate. You won't hear it so much, but there it is, that's the sound. I could probably chop it a little bit more than that. Now I'll also take that same, I'll copy it and stick it, he says, don't want draw mode, ignore that. I'll stick it, paste. I'll put it there. So that's the same sample, but this is a different EQ rack. So this is the kick inside. So this is a Sennheiser 901 right behind the batter head, essentially. So there's hardly any low end at all. But both of them, you know, you can hear it on its own. So this is a bit more attack, he says. A bit more attack. There you have. So you have the slap without the low end rumble, basically. I've taken all the bottom end out of it. So that's it. If I put them both together, there's my kick sound. And that's what I would layer underneath another kick, pretty much, really. And then you've got cutlery draw.
So that's sofa.
So that's sofa. So then I go down, find it. There she is. Bring her in. It's obviously quite a bit. Where are you? There you go. Open her up.
It's essential to have forks only.
Forks only, yeah, absolutely. Spoons, we'll be here editing for days. All right, so I've got the... oh, dear. Right. There we go. Right, let's just raise the volume a little bit. So we have got that. Perfect. And it's got that horrible, nasty overtone. So if I wanted to, I could gate it, but I won't. I'll just put a fade on that. Obviously, the sample's going on for days, so we'll get rid of that. We'll cut it right back, because we want it to be just a quick shot, one shot. I'll put a little fade on it.
So the top draw is too resonant.
Yeah, the top draw is far too resonant. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, there it is. Now, obviously, what I want to do, if that cutlery draw, I can just go, I'll warp it. I can then just transpose it down, take it down 2 or 3. And now you're not realizing what the hell that is. That doesn't sound like a cutlery draw. So there we have it. Brilliant. Now, if I wanted to, once again, is I can just go to my effects here. I'll just put a straightforward reverb rack on it. I'll make it sort of 25%, and then I'll stick a little bit of EQ through it. And this is going to be a little bit more high end. We'll take the mids off. There we have it. And this will be my sound that would layer underneath my normal snare drum. There it is. Take the volume up a little bit. So that would be essentially my 2 sound sources. Now, I'll put them in some form of loop so you can hear them. And I generally think you'd struggle to hear what they were. You wouldn't know it's a sofa, obviously, and you wouldn't know it's a cutlery draw. But if I just put them as kick, snare, kick, snare, whatever, just do it as that, I think that would work. And I'm just going to loop that round and round and round. And you start to get a feel then, as it's in context, make sure that's lit up. Cameo, word up. So then I could go to them and mix it a little bit. I could think, okay, that is just a little bit hot for me. The attack's a bit hot. So there's the warmth.
We should have played the game of what is this sample?
What? Yes, I know. What is that? And obviously there's the original sample. Take it right up, transpose it. But I always, with a cutlery draw, take it right down. There it is. And then that is it. So the next stage for me then is to get that on the module. How am I going to do that? It's very, very simple. I will just do this. I'd highlight the sound itself, and I would go to File, Export, just the kicks, export off the master, yes. Where do we want to put it? We'll put it on the desktop, and we'll just go sofa, and that'll export really quickly. Done. And then we'll take that one and we'll export, and that will be forks. Done. That's it. So that's my two sounds done like that. I can close down Ableton.
Then we're just going to stick it on an SD card.
And then it is literally just drag and drop onto the SD card, onto the Roland import folder of the SD card, and then stick it onto your module and layer it with anything else. And you've got the most, and nobody knows you're playing half your home. It's brilliant.
Let's give it a go.
All right.
So as you can tell from the name, which is as easy as picking a user kit and then editing the name, we're going to Sofa Forks.
Sofa Forks, yeah. So all I've done is I've put the file in from the studio, I've saved it onto the module, and I'm just going to assign it. So we're going to play like a dubstep thing. If I go to assign, I've got a snare drum, and it's a really detuned aluminium, so almost not snare, it's almost processed, you know. So that, and my kick drum is just a detuned birch kit as well. But I've got sub, so if I press sub, you can see I've got the sofa already lined up as the sub. And then I can adjust the layer type, the fade point, the instrument volume, and all I press is the kick and the sub on. So what you've got now is addition of sofa. And there you have it. So it adds all that, well, the sofa, the warmth, the attack. And exactly the same if I hit the snare. I just press sub on. And there's our forks. So in context, there we have it for the sofa. And forks. And that's it. Sound design is actually, it's always a process of trial and error. Have fun. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, we've got loads of kicks and snares and cymbals, which we all love as drummers. But sometimes the sound is off those instruments. It's something different. It's something that you can have fun with and make, you know, we've had a laugh. just like sampling a cutlery drawer and sampling a sofa, and you can come up with some great sounds. You know, really smart.
And it's super easy. If you had a laptop, you could just walk around your house, do it, stick it on the module. Yeah. Both that and the one we have behind will take sampling in.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go through all the editing upstairs. You know, if I was to sample it off my laptop straight to my SD card, I could put it in there and I can detune it. I can adjust the length of the sample and things like that. You know, that's just taking it a little bit more kind of Uber, really. But you can do it. You can. The modules are so powerful nowadays. You can do it within the module to a massive extent.
And then if you've got an SPDSX or anything like that, just assign it, stick it on. You can put it on your hybrid acoustic setup.
That's right. I mean, a lot of the loops that maybe guys have seen me at clinics doing, a lot of the loops that are generated by voice. So I'm too old and portly to be a beatboxer, but you know, just generated by voice. I mean, what I've been doing the past week is assigning phrases to the kit. I've also been assigning rudiments to the kit, so right, left, left, paradiddles, and just having fun with samples that you can use your voice, because it's inspiring, you know. Music's emotive. To be able to play along with your favourite artist or loops, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, you know, and that's the great thing now. If you can hear it, you can create it.
And the cool thing with the electronic kits, you could change the patch and you could go from normal drums to a voice, and you could be completely inspired to do something different anyway.
Yeah, that's right. It's looking for new things to do. Like I have a kit on here on my 50 as well. There's just all snare drums. You know, always think, because it just inspires you to try new things all the time. And then when you do come to play an acoustic kit, or I play such a big hybrid kit on the tour, you're always coming up with new ideas, because there's always a different sound that you might hear and think, oh, I really want to layer that on that 8-inch tom, and it's like, I'm a nightmare really, but it's so much fun. And the simplest of things around you are all a sound, and they all possibly are something you can put in a module and have it work for you.
So good top tips are fire exits, wheelie bins.
Anything. Wheelie bins are great. The thing about wheelie bins, it depends what you're hitting with. So if you're hitting with a cricket bat, you get all the front end in the world. If you're hitting with a salmon, you get all the low warmth.
I love how you know this.
I know all this.
The mental image of your lovely estate where we are
like
with a salmon.
I feel like Dr. Emmett Brown in Back to the Future some days, like walking around the house like, oh, I must try new ideas. But it is that, you know, a large part of what I do outside touring and recording is soundscape and sound design. And I know a lot of my friends who are producers, a lot of the sounds they use on records are not what you think they are. You know, they're things around a house, or just crazy, a door slamming that sounds amazing. Think that would be a great layered bass drum sound.
Well, these samples will be on his next album. There we go.
They probably will. I've got a bank of samples that I've used over the past few years for different projects that I'll always keep because I think, oh, I remember that. It sounds great. It might be something ludicrous, like a door slamming. Car door slamming are always great. I sound really, really eccentric now, don't I? I'm really not. I'm normal. But
well, you're a drummer.
I am a drummer, yeah. But it's a large part of what I do is sound design, and it's just so much fun because you can't get it wrong. You know, if you don't like it, just delete it and start again and think, right.
Well,
okay.
Don't delete it. Save it on a hard drive because you might like it later down the year.
Absolutely.
So there's just a little snippet. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just to show you a little bit of what maybe these two kits are when the dog's in.
Yeah.
What these two kits are capable of receiving, just quick WAV files, but you can make your own. That's the cool.
Yeah, there's no limits, and that's the thing about electronics now and sound. There's no limits. If you can hear it, you can create it, and just have fun and do your own thing.
So we don't need to, but we'll put Craig's links below, and yeah, we'll put the TD17 in. This is Drum Addicts on Andertons TV, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the Andertons drum channel. Hope you enjoyed it. But if you're a guitar player or a bass player, you play keyboards or you're into music technology, we've got other YouTube channels that you might be interested in, and I'll put links to those in the description below. Anyway, if you want to find out more about the products we showed in this video, please click up here. If you'd like to watch another video from the drum channel, please click over here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this one or in lots of other colors, click down here. And finally, if you'd like to subscribe to the Andertons drum channel, please click down here. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.